Hi, welcome to the Columbia College EOPS online orientation. At Columbia College, our faculty, staff, and administrators are committed to helping you reach your educational goals, whether that be to transfer to a four-year university, develop career skills, or improve your language skills. We are here to support you on your educational journey. As a first-generation college student who attended Columbia College, I myself understand some of the challenges and barriers you face in reaching your educational goals. But know this, you can be successful. You have taken a great first step in this direction by enrolling in the EOPS program, which will provide you valuable services. Again, welcome to Columbia College.
Hi everyone, my name is Matt Fox and I'm the coordinator of the EOPS program. Welcome to our online orientation. While we prefer to conduct our orientations in person, we recognize that it isn't always possible. We're pleased to tap into technology and allow you to complete this orientation online. We look forward to meeting you in person in the near future. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the orientation. So we're going to be getting you into EOPS for this upcoming fall 2018. So here's our agenda and topics for today's online orientation. So I'm going to be walking you through the same PowerPoint presentation that we do on campus, and it's going to provide you an overview of both the EOPS and the CARE program. Once we've concluded the PowerPoint presentation, you're going to need to complete an online orientation quiz. So please refer to the email that you received from us and you'll find a link so that you can complete the online orientation quiz. The final step to getting into EOPS for the fall 2018 semester is to complete intake. And I will talk a little bit more about intake as we go through this PowerPoint presentation. So to get us started, what is EOPS? And for those of you who are new to the college environment, I almost have to apologize up front. There are so many acronyms, so many shortened titles. So EOPS is the Extended Opportunities Programs and Services. And you'll find that there's so many acronyms on Columbia's campus, or any campus for that matter. We have the DSPS program, the Disabled Students Programs and Services, or the Academic Achievement Center, which is shortened to the AAC. So that's just one of the things you're going to have to get used to as you continue your time at Columbia College. So EOPS provides support services for students who demonstrate the potential to succeed in higher education. And our program philosophy is, regardless of your background, you have the potential to succeed in higher education. And this is a really exciting time in your life. You have made the decision to come to college. You're investing your own time and your own money, and if you're willing to put that type of sacrifice in, we 100% believe that you have the potential to succeed in higher education. This second statement is kind of a mouthful, so let me read the whole thing to you, and then we'll break it down and help you understand what it says, what it means. It says, the goal of the EOPS program is to assist economically and educationally disadvantaged students. I'm going to stop right there for a second. Columbia College has an enrollment of, in the fall semester, probably around 2,000 students. We probably have about 300 students in EOPS. Knowing that we have a bookstore voucher and a lot of different services, people often ask, well, why isn't everyone in EOPS? And it has to do with eligibility. So we know that you're eligible because you submitted an application and we reviewed it, and that's why we're inviting you to complete this online orientation. But we also want you to understand why other people are not eligible. So in the first line there it says, we assist economically disadvantaged students. So you completed the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, and as part of that FAFSA, you received a fee waiver. It used to be called the BOG fee waiver, now it's called the California College Promise Grant. That waives the tuition costs, so you no longer have to pay the $46 per unit when you register for classes. You receive that because of your family income. So that demonstrates to our program and to the state of California that you have an economic disadvantage. So that first one, we know you're all set, okay? The second line says you also have to have an educational disadvantage. And for that, our program has a lot of flexibility. It could be any of a number of things. It could be that when you placed into math and English classes, you placed into a foundation level. And if you already know the numbers, that's Math 602, our pre-algebra, or our English 650, Foundations of English. So it could be that you, again, scored into or got placed into those foundational level classes. It might be that the language you grew up with was a language other than English. It might be that you're a current or former foster youth. It might be that your high school GPA was under 2.5. For many of you, it's because you're first-generation college students. And the definition of that we use in our program is that neither of your parents have a bachelor's degree. They might have gone to college, they might even have accomplished an associate's degree, but if they don't have a bachelor's degree, we consider you a first-generation college student. So again, you don't have to have all those disadvantages, you only have to have one. Okay? So again, 2,000 students on campus, 300 in EOPS, not everyone is eligible based on this criteria. So what we provide students is supplemental educational support services that will enhance their academic success. And as we go through this PowerPoint, we'll spend quite a bit of time explaining what those additional resources are. And then the final thing on this slide says we offer services that are above, beyond, and in addition to services available to all Columbia College students. So we recommend, just like all students, that you take advantage of the library and office hours and tutoring and the health center. But because you have both an economic and an educational disadvantage, you need additional services to level the playing field to best ensure your success at Columbia College. We also have a program within EOPS called CARE. And CARE is a program for our single parents, so single moms and single dads who are receiving the county cash aid services. Sometimes it's called the TANF, the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. So imagine just for a second that you're a single mom or a single dad. It's no longer just you having to take care of yourself. You're also responsible for someone else's life and well-being and daily responsibilities and activities. So as you can imagine, it is harder to be a college student. So students who are in that situation and are part of our CARE program receive additional services targeted to their situation. For example, we found that most of our CARE students take great care of their kids, but when the parents come to campus, they often come without food. So students who participate in our CARE program receive approximately $200 of meal vouchers every semester. So those are meal vouchers for the on-campus cafeteria. You just swipe your card and the first $200 worth of meals during the semester are covered through EOPS and CARE. We also provide child care reimbursement up to $150 a month. So your child may be in a child care facility during the day when you're in school, but what about when you get home in the evening and you have to do homework and same thing on the weekends? So our child care reimbursement can cover study time in the evenings and the weekends to make sure that you have the time and the ability to study for your classes and be successful in them. We also have some additional money for transportation costs, some gas cards, and some additional money to help you pay for your textbooks. The goal of this CARE program is to reduce the long-term welfare dependency. We want to support the single parents so they can continue and complete their education and be best prepared for a great career in the future. We can get you into this CARE program at any time. So if you're already a single parent, we would just need to verify your eligibility with the county. And then you could start receiving the services as early as this upcoming semester. If your situation ever changes and you become eligible for the CARE program, let us know. And again, we will verify through the county and then we'll get you in as soon as possible. We have a whole bunch of staff with EOPS and CARE, and one thing that you'll find about Columbia College is we're a relatively small community college. There's 114 community colleges in California. There's only about 5 or 10 that are smaller than Columbia College. There's a lot of advantages to being a small campus, and one of the biggest things is the collaboration between departments. And as I introduce some of the staff, you'll see what I mean. So starting down here with Tracy Hickey, she's one of our program specialists, and she works with EOPS and CARE and DSPS, the Disabled Students Programs and Services, our Foster Youth Program students, and our CalWorks students. Matthew Wohl is one of our adjunct counselors, and adjunct simply means part-time. So he's here 3 days a week for the fall semester. He'll be here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And his hours are split between EOPS and TRIO. If you're not familiar with TRIO, I absolutely recommend that you check it out. TRIO is located right across the hall from EOPS, and TRIO is a transfer-focused program. So if you are at all considering transferring to a 4-year school to work towards your bachelor's degree, TRIO has some great services, including peer mentors, academic supplies, and one of the best resources, in my opinion, is the field trips that they take to the campuses. They rent vans, drive people to Stanislaus, UC Merced, CSU Monterey Bay, UC Berkeley, etc. When you walk on campus, it is a very different feel, and you all of a sudden start to visualize yourself there, and you realize a transfer might be a great option for you. A nice thing about Columbia College is you can be in as many programs as you'd like. So if you want to be in EOPS and TRIO, and you're a foster youth and DSPS, take advantage of all the different resources that are available. Jill Olson coordinates and is the counselor for our CalWorks program, which is a program through the county. She also works with a small number of our EOPS CARE students and also coordinates the GED program. So one thing that you may not have realized is that you don't have to have a high school diploma to come to community college. However, if you come without your high school diploma or your GED, your equivalents, you're not eligible for financial aid. And financial aid is often several $1,000s a semester. So if you have already accomplished and graduated from a high school, fantastic. If not, talk to Jill so you can take advantage of some of the free GED classes and testing at Columbia College. Steph Beaver is one of our counselors, and she works with 2 main populations, the EOPS program as well as the foster youth. So the EOPS part is the biggest part of her position, and so many of you are going to be seeing Steph when you come in to complete your counseling sessions. Dr. Brian Jensen also wears a number of different hats. The 2 that I will highlight today are his participation in the EOPS program and the DSPS program. So for those of you who are duly enrolled in those 2 programs, you will most likely be seeing Brian so that when he completes the counseling sessions, it can count toward both programs at the same time. And myself, so Matt Fox, I'm the EOPS CARE coordinator and counselor. So half of my position is kind of doing all the budgeting and planning and management stuff. And the even more enjoyable part is when I spend the time as a counselor working with the students, helping you guys figure out your goals, your interests, and creating your educational plans. I also teach 2 classes online. I teach a 3-unit Guide 1 class, which is all about exploring majors and careers and writing resumes and cover letters and understanding your values and interests and personality and how those compare and connect to majors and careers. So if any of you are at Columbia College but you're not quite sure why and what you're trying to accomplish in the future, Guide 1 is a class designed to get you some of the information so that you can get started in terms of figuring out what you want to do in the future. I also teach a 1-unit class called Guide 35. It's the basics of budgeting and money management. So we talk about cash flow and credit cards and credit scores and identity theft. And if you haven't already started thinking about finances, you definitely want to start thinking about finances in college. So I'd welcome any of you to participate in those classes. Okay, let's go back to EOPS. So you have to be eligible for EOPS. And the first criteria that we already know about you is you have to be a California resident. And the reason for that is we are a state-funded program. So the money that you pay in taxes, or your parents pay in taxes, goes to the state, and there's a line item in the California budget for EOPS. So every single community college in California has an EOPS program, but you do have to be a California resident to be eligible. We already know from your application that you have an educational need and an economic need, and that you also have less than 70 associate level units. So that's also a state rule that we can keep you in the program until you hit 70 units. You need 60 units to transfer and 60 units for an associate's degree. So ideally, we're getting you with a very small number of units, and we'll keep you in EOPS until you accomplish your educational goals. If you do start our program having already completed some units, be it at Columbia or somewhere else, we do have to count those units. So some of you might be coming in with 5, 10, 15, or even 20 or more units. So it'll be a little bit shorter period of time that we'll be able to keep you in EOPS. So we already know that criteria. Here's the last piece of the puzzle in terms of eligibility for the fall semester. And this was shared with you in the email inviting you to participate in this online orientation. You have to be enrolled in a minimum of 12 units on the first day of class or any time during the first week of the semester. The state of California has done a lot of research on what makes successful college students. And it's not your economic background. And it's not what your GPA was or your SAT scores. The greatest indicator that you're going to be successful in college is if you're a full-time student. So in your first semester in the EOPS at Columbia College, which is this upcoming fall semester, you have to start the semester enrolled in a minimum of 12 units. Now, if any of you are waitlisted, that does not count yet as enrolled. So that's why we have that flexibility of you getting enrolled in a minimum of 12 units anytime during the first week. You might have to go to classes or email some instructors to get some ad codes so that you can get into and up to 12 or more units. Okay? We do have some exceptions. If you're part of our DSPS program, you'll be seeing Dr. Brian Jensen, and he can fill out what's called a full load equivalent. And so based on your individual situation, he might determine that your full load equivalent is 3 units or 6 units or 9 units. And when he does that, we can let you into EOPS with that number of units. So you do have to be officially part of the DSPS program in order to receive that benefit. And if that's the case for you, then you'll see Dr. Brian Jensen when you come in during the first week of the semester, and he'll be able to get you into EOPS with a smaller number of units. As the EOPS director, I also have a very limited number of students. We're usually around 5 to 10 per semester that I can let in at 9 units. So if your situation is unique, let us know, and if we have any space remaining, we'd be happy to let you in with 9 units. But please understand, of the 300 students that we're going to have, we can only let about 5 or 10 in with that director approval. One thing the students always ask is, what happens if a week or a few weeks into the semester something happens and I realize that I don't want to continue in a class, or because of my work schedule I can't continue with a class, or a health situation occurs? Can I drop units, and are you going to kick me out of EOPS? And the answer is, we want you to be successful. If you need to adjust your schedule after the first week, you absolutely have the right to do that. We have to verify that you're a full-time student in the first week of the semester. But if things happen that necessitate you dropping down in units, we want you to be successful. So absolutely you have the right to drop down and stay in EOPS. Our recommendation is you always come and chat with us, because there are things like through the college, there's a progress probation. So if you have dropped too many classes, you can get placed on progress probation. You can also you can owe back some financial aid. So we always want to talk with you about, just kind of the pros and cons of potentially dropping your units, your classes, and making sure that you are making the best decision for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to spend quite a bit of time on this next slide because this is where we're going to talk about all the different services that we offer to students. And the services that I'm going to be highlighting are offered in the fall and spring semesters. For budgetary reasons, we're not able to offer the same services in the summer semester. So the first thing, just kind of dealing with the reality, right? One of the differences between high school and college is you got to pay for college and you got to pay for your textbooks. So one of the first services that I like to highlight is our $300 textbook voucher. So each and every semester that you're in our program, we're going to give you a $300 textbook voucher. And actually that textbook voucher, more appropriately, is for any required material. So if you're in the fire academy and you need to purchase a uniform, you can use that voucher for those required materials. Sometimes the auto classes or the art classes also have required materials, and you can use that voucher toward those, again, required materials. Most of you will be using it for books. So this is a voucher that we're going to load to your account electronically, and when you go down to the bookstore, they'll look you up in their system. The first $300 is totally covered. You can use it for used textbooks, rental textbooks, or new textbooks, whatever your preference is. Okay. I'm also going to highlight this next one here because our students gave us some very valuable feedback that $300 is, of course, super helpful, and they always appreciated it. But we also heard from our students that sometimes they were spending more than $300. So we wanted to come up with other ideas to help out with the costs. So we spent about $15,000 building a lending library. So we have several hundred textbooks that we will loan to you for free at the beginning of the semester, and then you just give it back to us at the end of the semester. So we don't have every textbook in our lending library, but we tried to purchase the ones that most students had to take. We have almost all of the math classes, the algebra, the statistics, the pre-calculus, the trig, I don't think we have the calculus textbooks. They just came out with a new edition. But we have most of the math textbooks and the solutions manuals and the calculators. We didn't want you to have to buy a $50 or $100 graphing calculator, only use it for one semester. We also have the Guide 1 Career and Life Planning textbook, the Introduction to Biology, which is Bio 17. We have the Emergency Medical Services. We have some of the psychology textbooks. So our goal in every semester is that between the bookstore voucher and the lending library, you're not going to have to pay anything for your textbooks. To go back up to the box talking about financial assistance, we also give students either a parking permit, which costs $30 per semester. So we give you a parking permit and a $25 gas card when you complete your educational plan appointment, or we give you about 4 booklets of bus tickets throughout the semester. So whichever option you choose has a value of about $60. We also have a small end-of-term grant. It's usually around $40 or $50, and I'll talk more about that in a future slide. Many of you might be thinking transfer in the future, and what you might not have known is that there's an application fee for submitting transfer applications, and it's about $70 per school. We don't want that to be a deterrent for you. So we will pay for the first 4 applications to the UCs and the first 4 applications to the CSUs. So we want you to apply to multiple schools to, so you have multiple options, and so we will pay for about the first $500 or $600 of application fees. One of the things you'll realize when you come to Columbia College is that everyone has to take different classes because you have different goals. So if your goal is to transfer to a CSU, you're probably taking slightly different classes than someone who wants to transfer to a UC. And if you're a business major, you're definitely taking different classes than someone who is a biology major. So this next slide is highlighting what I think really sets our program apart. Is through our program, you're going to meet with an EOPS counselor a minimum of 3 times per semester. And this is one-on-one to talk about academic, career, and personal topics. One of the biggest topics that you're going to talk about, and it's the first appointment that you do every semester with us, is called the educational plan. And think of the educational plan as a roadmap. It's how we're going to get you from where you are right now to where you want to be in the future. We're going to lay out all the classes that you need, and that might include general education and major and elective classes. And we'll even create a semester-by-semester plan so that you know exactly how long this goal is going to take you. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, your educational plan will quite likely look different than your friends or the person who's sitting next to you. So we always update this every semester. We put in your classes, we put in your grades. This is a really important document, so we always want it to be 100% correct. Students in EOPS also get priority enrollment. So the EOPS students get to enroll with the very first group of students. It's called Level 1 Priority Registration. And the reason the college gives EOPS students priority registration is they recognize that many of our students have multiple responsibilities. So you can't just say, I'll take any class, any day. You might need to be here on certain days of the week. You might be commuting a long distance. You might be balancing your academics with a work schedule and family commitments. So with priority registration, as long as you take advantage of it, you're not going to have any problem getting into the classes that you need. We also offer optional student success workshops. So these are workshops that complement the theory that you're learning in your classes. We're going to be doing workshops on how to transfer to the UCs, how to transfer to the CSUs, how to apply for scholarships, coping with stress, writing resumes. There's about 20 different workshops that we offer every semester. And when you come in during the first week of the semester, we'll give you a handout that lists all the workshops for the whole semester, and then you can pick and choose which ones you would like to attend. Let me give you a little bit more information about the 3 required counseling sessions. So the first one is called the Educational Plan Appointment. And because you're new to EOPS, this appointment is going to be scheduled for 1 hour. You're going to sit down with a counselor for 1 hour to either review and update the educational plan that you already have, or from scratch, create an educational plan that is targeted to your goals. This is not set in stone. Whatever we create, we can tinker with and update and change. One of the more important things is we want you to understand how this process works so that you know that the classes you're picking are counting towards your goal. You'll see here in red, which always means it's something important, says if you use the EOPS bookstore voucher but fail to complete the educational plan appointment, you'll be responsible for paying back the $300 bookstore voucher. Okay? So here's how it works. You're going to come in during the first week of the semester, and we're going to give you all the services, the bookstore voucher, the parking pass, etc. We're also going to schedule you for your first appointment, the educational plan. We will then text you the day before your appointment to remind you. And when you sign up for the appointment, we'll also give you a sticker so you can put that in your planner for the day and time of the appointment. And most of you, 95% of you, are going to attend that appointment. Some of you are either going to need to call and reschedule, which we'll work with you on, or you might miss because every once in a while life happens. If you miss, we'll text you and call you and ask you to reschedule. And if we don't hear from you within a couple of days, we'll text you and call you again. And we'll try a couple of times, easily. If you totally blow us off and never contact us and never show up for your educational plan appointment, then you're going to owe that $300 back to the college because you're not officially part of the EOPS program. This only happens to sometimes between 0 and 1 student per semester, but we don't want it to be you. Okay? The second appointment is a mid-semester progress check. So after the first appointment, once you're done with that appointment, we will automatically schedule you for the second appointment. And this one has a form that you're going to take to your professors, and you're going to request feedback on how you're doing at the midpoint in the semester. We want to make sure that you know if you are sitting on a great grade, an A, or maybe you're at a C or a D, and in which case you need to make some changes so that you can end the semester on a successful note. By doing this at the midpoint of the semester, usually about halfway through the semester, there's still time to make changes, to take better advantage of resources, or sometimes even drop classes when necessary, so that you can better focus the limited time that you have. When you come to the second appointment, we'll get you scheduled for the third appointment. The third appointment is an end-of-term update. We do some self-reflection on the semester, how did it go for you, but we also make sure that you're set for the next semester. We renew your EOPS eligibility. You only have to do this orientation 1 time. And we also make sure that you're set for your classes for using priority registration for the next semester. We do have limited flexibility to reschedule. We have about 300 students and only 5 counselors. So please, when you make your appointments, make sure that as best possible you think that that appointment is going to work with you. If you need to reschedule, call us up and we will work with you. Whenever you're coming for appointments with EOPS, you want to check in and check out at the special programs window, which is either where Lisa is or where Tracy or one of our student workers is. If you check in over at general counseling, you're going to wait in line, you're going to get to the front, and then they're going to tell you that you're in the wrong place. So save yourself the extra steps, come straight down to the special programs window, and we'll get you checked in. So I mentioned earlier that we offer small end-of-term grants. These are usually $40 or $50, and it's a reward for students who have a successful semester. You do have to be eligible for these. So, eligibility criteria. Number 1, you have to have completed all 3 required counseling sessions within the scheduled time frame. Second eligibility criteria is you have to complete the semester with a GPA of at least 2.0. We're not going to include previous semesters. We're only looking at this one semester. And you also have to complete at least 51% of your semester units. So meaning if you started with 12 and dropped 3, you would have still completed 9, which is 75%, so no problem at all. But if you started with if you started with 12 and dropped down to 6, you only would have completed 50%. So you would have missed out on our grant because you wouldn't have met that eligibility criteria. And the last thing is, because the aid that we're giving counts toward a total financial aid package, you must be eligible for financial aid as determined through the Financial Aid Office at Columbia College. This includes having a complete and verified either FAFSA or DREAM Act application complete and on file with the Financial Aid Office. The end-of-term checks are mailed to your home address, and students typically receive them about 6 to 8 weeks after the semester. By then you've usually forgotten about it, but it's always a nice surprise. It always comes at a good time. That $40 or $50 always helps out when you get it in the mail. Okay, the next step in the process is called EOPS intake. Intake is a quick 10-minute meeting. It's not a counseling session, right? We're not really going to be talking about your classes and your goals. This is going to be the last step where you sign some paperwork and we officially get you registered for EOPS. This happens during the first week of the semester. During this intake process, you're going to receive what we call an academic survival packet. We give you a full-size backpack, binder, pen, paper, and dividers. We want you to have all the resources to hit the ground running and be prepared to be successful in your classes. This is also where we give you the voucher for the parking permit or the bus tickets. This is also where we load the $300 the book voucher or materials voucher onto your account. And then they will automatically see that when you go down to the bookstore. And this is also where you have access to the lending library, the textbooks and the calculators. You'll see a little note there that this is a limited availability. So we don't have enough in our lending library for everybody. If there's 50 people who take the same Biology 17 class, we're going to run out of textbooks. So it's a first come, first serve service, the lending library. Everything else, all of our other services are guaranteed. But the lending library is first come, first serve. So when students come for intake, we do it the whole first week of the semester. If you come on Monday morning, students will start lining up at about 7:15 a.m. because they want first access to the lending library because they know that it might save them several $100s if they're in, for example, a statistics class. But if you're there on Monday morning, there's going to be a lot of other people there, and it could potentially be about a 2-hour wait, right? Because remember, there's several hundred of you and only 4 or 5 counselors, okay? But that gives you maximum access to the lending library. If you come later in the week, during first week on, say, Thursday or Friday, there will probably be almost no wait, but we've probably run out of materials in the lending library. So you can decide which way is going to work best for you in terms of your time and accessing these resources. What we need you to bring to intake is 2 current copies of your official course enrollment. So you're going to log into your Connect Columbia and print out 2 copies of your schedule. This is how we confirm that last eligibility requirement, which is enrolled, and again, not waitlisted, but you actually have to be enrolled in a minimum of 12 units. Again, unless you're in the DSPS program or part of that very small group of students who are starting at 9 because of the director approval. Intake happens at our EOPS office, so you're just going to check in with Lisa or Tracy at our front desk. It'll be a first come, first serve. We don't make appointments. It's just because we have to see so many students in a short period of time. It's first come, first serve. All of your other appointments are going to be scheduled in advance. This is the only one that's going to be a little bit of a madhouse. One of the things you're going to sign when you come to complete your enrollment in EOPS during intake is called a mutual responsibilities contract. So this provides you kind of some of the rules and policies of EOPS. Some I've already mentioned, so I'll quickly highlight, but there's also a few new ones in here. Number one, you're eligible to remain in our program until you reach 70 units. So if you're coming in with 0 units, we're going to keep you for 3 years, 4 years, depending on how many units you take every semester, okay, until you exceed 70 units. But if you start our program and you already have 50 units, then it's going to be a shorter period of time because you're going to get to 70 much quicker. Ideally, we get you in the very beginning of your college career and we get you all the way through to the end. Number 2, and this is a repeat but important, enrollment in 12 units is a requirement for your first semester, which is this upcoming fall, for EOPS. In future semesters, you are not required to enroll in 12 units. So in future semesters, starting, say, spring 2019, you have much more flexibility. You could, of course, stay a full-time student, 12 or more units, but you could also drop down. So as a continuing student in EOPS, you have more flexibility with the number of units that you take. Again, an important repeat here. If you spend the EOPS bookstore voucher, the $300, but fail to complete your educational plan appointment, you will be responsible for paying back the money. You're required to attend 3 counseling sessions within the time frame. Our messaging system, which is remind.com, is the primary way we correspond with you. So we use that to remind you about intake, about the first day of school, about priority registration. We also use it to remind students about their appointments. So you'll receive a text message the day before appointments reminding you that you have an appointment the next day. It is a one-way system, so you can't text us or email us back through it, but you're always welcome to give us a call or stop by our office. And then number 6, you must maintain satisfactory academic progress. So we hold you responsible for being a successful college student. So you have to have a minimum GPA of 2.0 each semester and complete a minimum of 51% of your units. Which always leads to the question, what if I don't? What if life happens? What if I get sick? What if work does something and my GPA drops, or I have to drop more than half of my units? Do I get kicked out of EOPS? The answer is no, not immediately. Let me explain more. We have something called EOPS warning. So let's say in the fall semester, your first semester in EOPS, life happens and your GPA drops below 2.0, or you miss an appointment and don't reschedule with us. You'll be placed on our first semester warning status. And as you can see here, it says students who do not successfully complete the expectations are placed on warning status number 1. In your first semester of warning, you will receive all EOPS services with the goal of reestablishing good standing. This is how we kind of double down on you. So for the spring semester, right, your second semester in EOPS, we will still give you all the services, the bookstore voucher, the counseling sessions, everything, with the goal of getting you back on good track. But let's say it happens 2 semesters in a row, okay? Well, now it's a little bit more of a pattern. So you're only going to receive our basic EOPS services. And basic services include the 3 counseling sessions, the textbook and calculator loan program, eligibility for the end of semester grant. However, it does not include the gas card, the bus tickets, and it does not include the $300 textbook voucher, which is definitely a hit. So we obviously don't want that to happen to you, which is why we're being so upfront with our expectations. If it does happen 3 semesters in a row, then clearly there's some things that you need to kind of get back on track with. So we do exit you from EOPS. However, you can sit out for a semester and then reapply to EOPS once you have got things back on track. Here's our location. And this building was recently renovated, so we had the college, through support of the community, received a Measure E bond to renovate the campus. And our campus was built in 1968, and the Manzanita building looked like it was built in 1968. Fortunately, they spent a lot of money and did an excellent job updating this building. And it's kind of the hub of the campus. So many of the services that you're going to utilize are located in Manzanita. The DSPS program, the TRIO program, the EOPS program, the computer labs, the financial aid office, and more. So this is an excellent place to tap into all the resources of Columbia College. During the summer, during the summer, our services are open Monday through Thursday, and during the fall and spring, we're open Monday through Friday. I've also included our phone number down here at the bottom. One of the nice things about being at a small campus is we will actually answer the calls. So at some of the larger campuses, because they have so many students, it isn't possible to respond to students and answer the phones. But here, that's one of the things we pride ourselves on. So give us a call if you have any questions. Lisa Tracy, or one of our student workers, will be happy to help you. If we do miss you, almost guaranteed, we will be calling you back within 24 business hours to make sure that you have the services and the support that you need. We've got 2 quotes for you. These are quotes that the counselors came up with, and they really enjoyed them. And for various reasons, these quotes resonate with different students for different reasons. So this first quote says, "Risk more than others think is safe. Care more than others think is wise. Dream more than others think is practical. And expect more than others think is possible." We're so excited for you because this is a turning point in your life. Coming to college, continuing your education, creating that foundation for your future success. And yeah, there might be people who have said, oh, and maybe they don't believe in you, maybe they're not supporting you, but regardless, this is your opportunity. And through services including TRIO and financial aid and EOPS and DSPS, if you're willing to put your 100% into college, certainly you will be successful here. This last quote resonates very closely and very strongly for me. It says, "The opportunity to be your best means nothing until you're willing to do your best." I was very fortunate my parents encouraged my education, starting when I was a young age. And I remember in high school my mom would check in and ask me if I did my homework. And I had supportive teachers who would encourage me in class and tell me that I had a bright future if I applied myself. And to all of them, I kind of just put my hands up and said, thanks, but no thanks. Not really interested. And I struggled in high school, and I graduated from high school with maybe a 2.4, 2.5 GPA. And it wasn't until I went to college and decided that I wanted to make something of my life, that I wanted to be successful, and I was doing it for myself, that I was willing to put the hard work in, that I really found success. I was a transfer student, like many of you were. My road was probably a little bit different because I went to about 5 different colleges before I finally graduated. After a couple years of playing sports at one, I transferred to another and then transferred to another. I ended up at UCLA, and I got my bachelor's and my master's from UCLA and ended up working there for 10 years before my wife and I moved up here. But again, in the background, when you looked at my high school grades, you would not have anticipated that I would have become successful later in life. So the same opportunity presents itself to you. If you're willing to do your best, I think you're going to be very, very pleased with the results that you get. This last line is our tagline. So it says, the EOPS counselors and staff look forward to partnering on your journey to success. So the best day for us is graduation day in Oak Pavilion, when hundreds of students get to walk across the stage and get their name called and recognized for their academic accomplishments. It's of course bittersweet for us because we've gotten to know you for several years and we know your story and how hard you've worked. But that's the goal, right? In kind of, it sounds like almost a strange way, but our goal is to get you out of here. Like, we're excited that you're here, but we want to give you the support, get you onto that next step in your life. So the reward for us is that we get to partner on your journey to success. Okay, so that concludes the online orientation. Let's briefly cover the next steps so you know exactly what you need to do to participate in our program for this upcoming fall semester. You need to complete the online orientation quiz. So because we didn't have the benefit of seeing you in person, we need to verify that you've understood this information and watched the whole orientation. So please see the email that you've received, and in the email inviting you to complete this online orientation, you'll also see a link to our online orientation quiz. Okay? We will be reviewing that quiz to make sure that you have answered the questions correctly. So please do make sure that you be thoughtful and have the information correct, and if necessary, refer back to some of this information. The final step to enrolling in EOPS is completing intake. So that's what we mentioned earlier in one of the slides. So it's going to be happening during the first week of the semester. It's a first come, first serve. And in the email that you received, there's an attachment. It includes the days and times for intake. So please refer to that. Remember to bring 2 copies of your schedule showing your 12 units of enrollment. And we will look forward to seeing you in person and getting you started toward a successful fall semester. Thanks for watching, everybody.